And hello there. I've been a bit absent from, the YouTube channel lately. I haven't really been playing that much to review or talk about that sort of thing. Usually there's a lot of indie games there that I play, but at the moment it's just been one game. And that's Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I am an MMO player at heart, but lately there really hasn't been much that grabs my interest. I've played every single one that's basically came out from WildStar and ESO and all that, and I was quite big into Guild Wars 2 for a time, but they never really grabbed me. And I just was in that MMO mood again, and I thought, okay, I've got some people playing Final Fantasy XIV, so I thought, why not, I can get the free month and play it, and I have done nothing but play this game for nearly a month now. It's crazy. I've been pulling something like 5-6 hour days sometimes, just questing and grinding and dungeoning, and I don't know why it appeals to me so much, but it just does. It's that sort of basic theme park dungeon going at the end, but just with the design of the dungeons, the really interesting mechanics there, as well as a lot of the mechanics behind it that make it a lot easier to gear up and also more friendly and community driven. So I kind of like it. This is my little cat girl. So you see, Ariana LaFay. So that is a customized outfit. I like the sleek looks of a lot of the beginner gear rather than the bulky end game gear. So that's my character. Big axe. And she's a tank. A tank with an axe. If that makes sense. So I've done a lot of leveling. Like, I don't think most people would get this high in less than a month. But I've hit endgame and I've been just gearing up and, getting a lot of those endgame gears and getting access to a lot of the raids and that sort of thing. So that's where I am at the moment. 104. It's pretty decent, actually. And from there on, it goes a lot slower. But I'm still making some good progress, which is nice. I've even got like a whole list written out about, where I'm going to go next to get my next gear and what I'm doing now. So I'm completely batshit crazy for this game at the moment. Pretty cool. So the element I was talking about, I really liked were these, just these tokens. Now, they were put in a few patches ago, so they're not a new thing, but they really let people like me, new players, and when you're alting and doing that sort of character, to just gear them up a lot better for endgame. Not like complete brilliant gear, you still have to earn that, but just enough to get yourself into those raids and into those dungeons. And that's a brilliant idea. But the brilliant part behind that is the dungeon finder. Standard process of every MMO these days, but when you're doing these duty roulettes for some of the main scenarios, the low levels, I haven't unlocked the high level yet, but when you're doing those, you actually get gifted some tokens for the first run of the day. And the reason that's important is you're making a lot of those lower level contents more popular. You're getting more people in it that know it, that can do it, that can help new players through those dungeons, through those experiences, and you get rewarded for it, which is an excellent idea. And you even get rewarded more if there's a person that hasn't done it before too. So it's really a good way of making sure there's people playing those earlier dungeons and, people that are knowledgeable helping other people. And from so far, like, I dungeon run from basically Cap all the way, from Lobby all the way to Cap. I did the main scenario quest, but that was it. I'm not a questing person, I'm a dungeon person, and that's what I did the entire time, just ran dungeons. Luckily, I'm a tank, so queues were extremely quick. And some of them were quite challenging with your low-level gear and your low-level stuff, but I generally enjoy it. It's a nice group experience. I like those group fights. They do steadily get more difficult as well, and you learn more mechanics, you get better with your character, and it's a fun way to level. And I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy. other people have said this before, but the community is just something else. Like, usually, a lot of these dungeon groups, especially new groups, it'll be a really, really negative experience. You've got new players failing it up. You've got the elitist asshole doing, their elitist asshole kind of thing. And it's just not a type of content you enjoy. But here, everyone's like kind of nice and chatty, and like the worst experience you usually get is just everyone's quiet, which is still a step up. I still go back and have those really bad dungeon experiences, but even then, it's not something you really take out on people. If they're learning, so you go along with it, and they're still friendly and talking, and they're making an effort to engage the content and get better. So it's not something you can really be, cranky at. So I know it's just a different, far more positive experience, which I think really helped the game. So there we go. I'm in the Mordana at the moment, which is kind of the end game zone where everyone goes to raid and that sort of thing, or everyone just hangs out for tokens. I haven't gotten too far yet. Like, there's obviously heaps of people quite more advanced than me. I've got my relic axe, and that's my Atma axe. That involves a process of just, going to a lot of dynamic events, getting a certain material, and then you have it. The next thing I'm doing at the moment is the books. Now, I've only done one book so far, and this has me, going out, killing a lot of different enemies, doing a few different dungeons, some of the dynamic events they call fates, and levies. So you've got to do that, and that gives you a little bit of a bonus to your weapon. And then once you've done all of them, your weapon's upgraded, you get to the next set. And I like that process. I've written about it already. And it's just it's a good way of making a personal weapon, but also creating some more long-term goals for players to work towards. And I know a lot of people, like, especially the ones who've been here a while, view it just as like something for the casuals, get them their weapon. It takes some work, but then you're not having to hit those really, really hard content dungeons to get it. And yeah, sure, those really hard dungeons and trials are a bit easier for getting these upgraded weapons. If you get a good group, you can run it constantly. Everyone gets their weapon, everyone's happy. And this takes a lot more time, but if you're not comfortable with that scenario, it just gives you another option. And I think that's really the strength of Final Fantasy at the moment. Like, a lot of these other MMOs have tried, but Final Fantasy does give you a lot of options for progression. It's not just this narrow-minded, you have to quest to get to cap. Or once you get to cap, you must dungeon run only to get, the best gear. That sort of stuff. There's a lot of other methods there, like crafting is pretty important, so you can go that route if you want. You can buy a lot of stuff off the market house. Of course, dungeoning is a big part of it, but with the Duty Finder, it's not an entirely negative experience. And I think, like, I've done a few of those endgame raids now, and they're just quite crazy with the mechanics. There's lots of them going on constantly. It takes the entire group working together, but amazingly, even with like lots of new players, it's still completed. It's still something you're able to get through relatively easily. And I don't know whether that's just the quality of the pugs, like the players, or if it's just that the mechanics are well presented. But I don't know, some of these dungeons is just crazy with all the mechanics going on, yet you see everyone working together. Everyone's got their purpose and their place and knows what to do. And some people will walk around for a little bit, but then you quickly get the hang of these things. I don't know, I just like it. And so far I've been hitting those endgame raids, the Crystal Tower ones, Circus Tower and World of Darkness, and they're quite fun experiences. I actually main tanked on my first go at Circus Tower, which was fun but crazy. None of the other tanks wanted to like step up, so I was like, fine, main tank me. And I did really well, except for dying on one of the phases. But that wasn't my fault, I swear. It was just so much damage. But no, that's what I'm playing at the moment. I think I will be slowing down, I guess, soonish, and covering a few more extra games, but I also thought I'd just, focus a little bit more on Final Fantasy and just create some diary type video entries just to show you what I've been doing, the content I'm enjoying, and just talk about what I've been doing. Like, I write about this stuff as well, but just chuck it on the YouTube now as well. If you have any more questions or want me to cover something else in Final Fantasy, feel free to ask and I'll try and get to it as well. Maybe cover some dungeon runs as well and talk about why I like them and that sort of stuff. And yeah, I think that'd be cool. Have fun, everybody, and I'll see you in Final Fantasy if you're there. Bye.